Welcome to Shadowing English.
Listen, learn, and improve your English effortlessly. Speak like a native.
Hello, my friends, and a warm welcome back to Shadowing English. I'm Alex, and I'm absolutely delighted you're here with me today. In this episode, we're going to be delving into the world of English through one of the most renowned books ever written, Atomic Habits, Times by James Clear. This book, at its core, is about the profound impact of seemingly insignificant changes and how they can lead to monumental results. It's not about pushing yourself harder to do more. It's about refining your approach and doing things better, bit by bit, gradually. Today, I'll be guiding you through the book chapter by chapter, breaking down everything in slow, clear, and simple English to ensure you grasp every single word. You'll be expanding your English vocabulary with new phrases, and simultaneously, you'll be learning the art of building positive habits, habits that have the power to transform your life. So, settle in, make yourself comfortable, and let's get started. Chapter 1: The Power of Tiny Changes. Now, when we say tiny, we mean exceptionally small. James Clear kicks off his book with a deceptively simple yet incredibly powerful concept that small habits possess the ability to revolutionize your entire life. He shares a compelling story about a man determined to regain his health. Initially, this man didn't embark on hours-long runs or frequent the gym daily. Instead, he started with a mere 5-minute walk. That was it, just 5 small minutes. But here's where the magic lies. He committed to it every single day, without fail. Those 5 minutes gradually extended to 10, and then to 20. After several months, he found himself walking for a full hour each day. The results were remarkable. He shed weight, his energy levels soared, and, most importantly, he felt an overwhelming sense of pride in his accomplishments. James Clear aptly states, "If you get 1% better every day, you will be 37 times better after 1 year." While 1% might seem like a negligible amount, its impact is undeniably powerful. Imagine if each day you consciously endeavored to be just a fraction better than the day before. Whether it's reading an extra page, offering one more smile, or learning a single new word in English. Over the course of a year, these small moments would coalesce into something truly extraordinary. Let's consider this from a slightly different angle. If an aeroplane alters its course by a single degree at the beginning of its journey, after numerous hours in the air, it will arrive in an entirely different country. A seemingly insignificant change, a minor adjustment in direction, can ultimately lead to a completely new destination. Your habits operate in much the same way. The term atomic signifies something exceptionally small, akin to an atom, the smallest indivisible component of matter. However, atoms possess immense power. When numerous atoms combine, they create everything in the universe. From towering mountains and vast oceans to towering trees and even us as human beings. Therefore, an atomic habit is a very small behavior that, through consistent repetition, generates significant changes over time. You don't need to strive for perfection today. You simply need to be marginally better than you were yesterday. That's all it takes. Now, let's delve into a few real-world examples. If you start each morning with a 5-minute walk, you'll likely find yourself wanting to extend it to 10 and then to 15 minutes. After a few months, your body will become stronger, your mind clearer, and your energy levels will surge. If you incorporate 1 extra glass of water into your daily routine, your skin will improve, your focus will sharpen, and you'll feel more alert. If you dedicate yourself to learning just 1 new English word each day, by the end of the year, you'll have amassed a vocabulary of 365 new words. A significant accomplishment stemming from something so seemingly small. Small things hold immense importance. Small wins pave the way for significant victories. James Clear wisely points out that success is not about big moves. It is about small steps repeated again and again. When you consistently engage in small actions each day, your brain internalizes this as part of your identity. This is who I am now. And that new identity gradually solidifies and grows stronger. So remember, small habits may appear insignificant at first, but they steadily gain strength over time, much like a seed that blossoms into a towering tree. This is where genuine change begins. Chapter 2. How habits shape your identity. Identity revolves around who we are as individuals. In this chapter, James Clear highlights a crucial point. Your habits are not merely about what you do. They are intrinsically linked to who you become. They are intertwined with your very identity. Many individuals attempt to alter their habits by setting goals, uttering phrases such as, "I want to lose 10 kilos," "I want to learn English fluently," or "I want to save more money." However, James Clear argues that this is the wrong approach. Instead of fixating on the goal itself, shift your focus to your identity. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? Because every small action carries significance in shaping the person you aspire to be. If you consistently read a few pages each day, you are cultivating the identity of a reader. If you engage in even 5 minutes of exercise, you are transforming into an active individual. If you listen to English podcasts every morning, you are becoming an English speaker. Each small action sends a message to your brain, reinforcing the notion that this is who I am now. Now, let's imagine 2 individuals who are both determined to quit smoking. One person declines a cigarette by saying, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The other person responds with, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." Can you discern the subtle yet significant difference? The first individual still perceives themselves as a smoker, merely attempting to change their behavior. The second individual, however, already believes they are no longer a smoker. Their identity has undergone a transformation. When your identity shifts, your habits naturally follow suit. Let's consider another example. Learning English. If you consistently tell yourself, "I'm not good at English," your brain will internalize this belief. You'll feel self-conscious and hesitant to speak. However, if you begin affirming, "I'm learning English every day," or "I am the kind of person who loves learning languages," your brain will start constructing a new identity. You'll feel more confident, more open, and more motivated. James Clear emphasizes that most people primarily focus on outcomes, such as losing weight, earning money, or becoming proficient in English. However, results are merely the surface level, what we outwardly observe. James Clear identifies 3 distinct levels of change: changing what you get, the outcome; changing what you do, the process; and changing what you believe, your identity. To reiterate, changing what you get, which represents the outcome; changing what you do, which constitutes the process; and changing what you believe, which is your identity. The former 2 represent external changes, whereas genuine transformation originates from within, from altering your beliefs, shifting your identity, which subsequently influences your actions and ultimately determines your outcomes. Now, let's make this a bit more practical. Picture someone who desires to get fit. If she merely declares, "I want to lose 5 kilos," she might diligently go to the gym for a week and then give up. However, if she internalizes the belief, "I'm a healthy person who takes care of her body," she will naturally act differently. Her behavior will align with her identity. She will recognize that a healthy person incorporates vegetables into their diet, and that a healthy person enjoys going for walks. Her identity will guide her actions, not just her aspirations. The same principle applies to English learners. If you consistently say, "I want to speak like a native," you might feel overwhelmed by the pressure. However, if you affirm, "I'm the kind of person who learns English every day," you'll feel calm and motivated. You don't need to be perfect. You simply need to embody your chosen identity. Chapter 3: How Habits Work. Right then, James Clear explains that every habit, regardless of whether it's good or bad, adheres to the same fundamental pattern. It consists of 4 distinct steps which occur automatically within your brain, often without your conscious awareness. The first step is the cue, which serves as a trigger, signaling your brain to initiate the habit. The second step is the craving, which represents the intense feeling or desire to engage in the activity. The third step is the response, which is the action you undertake. And finally, the fourth step is the reward, which is the sense of satisfaction you experience after completing the action. Now, let's examine these 4 steps in greater detail. Step 1. The cue. A cue is a subtle signal that initiates the habit, akin to a light switch, that prompts you to perform a specific action. Cues can manifest in various forms, such as a particular location, a specific time, a certain sound, a person, or even an emotion. For instance, you enter the kitchen and spot a biscuit on the table. That's a cue, a signal. Your brain recalls the taste and immediately registers, "Ah, I want that." Or you hear your phone vibrate. That's a cue, a signal, prompting you to check your messages. Or you finish your dinner and notice your running shoes by the door. That's a cue, a signal to go for a walk. Therefore, cues and signals are ubiquitous. By recognizing your cues, you can exercise greater control over your habits. The second step is the craving. Following the cue, the signal, comes the craving. A craving is not the action itself, but rather the underlying desire that fuels the action. You don't necessarily crave the biscuit itself. You crave the sugary taste that elicits a feeling of happiness. You don't necessarily want to check your phone. You want to feel connected to other people. All habits originate with a craving. A small promise that your brain makes. If you do this, it says, you will feel good. The stronger the craving, the more likely you are to act. If you crave relaxation, you might switch on the television after work. If you crave progress, you might open your notebook to study English. If you crave attention, you might post a photo online. Cravings are inherently emotional, stemming from your feelings rather than solely from what you perceive. To crave something signifies having an intense desire for something. When you yearn for something intensely, you genuinely crave it. Now, we move on to the third step, the response. The response is the actual action you take. You eat the biscuit. You check your phone. You go for a run. Sometimes the response is automatic. You don't even consciously think about it. You simply do it. For example, when you absent-mindedly sit down and open YouTube, that's a response. When you open your English book after dinner because it's part of your routine, that's also a response. Whether or not you act depends on how easy or difficult the action is. If the action is easy, you'll likely do it. If it's challenging, you probably won't. That's why James Clear advises, make good habits easy and bad habits hard. Finally, comes the reward, the outcome you achieve from your action. The reward satisfies the craving and reinforces the behavior in your brain. It tells your brain, this feels good. Let's do it again next time. For instance, you eat the biscuit and experience a feeling of happiness and fullness. That's a reward. You check your phone and see a message from a friend. That's a reward. You go for a run and feel invigorated and strong. That's a reward. Rewards are incredibly powerful. When your brain associates the cue, craving, response, and reward, it creates a memory. The memory signals, this was good. Let's do it again. Let's repeat it. This is how habits are formed. Now, let's consider a complete example. You wake up in the morning and smell coffee. That's the signal. You crave energy. That's the craving. You pour yourself a cup. and drink it. That's the response. Subsequently, you feel awake and invigorated. That's the reward. Thus, your brain learns that coffee makes you feel good in the morning. The following day, when you wake up, your brain automatically seeks out the signal, and you instinctively reach for the coffee. The habit has now become automatic. The same system can be applied to cultivate positive habits as well. You open your English podcast app. That's a cue. You aspire to feel proud and acquire new knowledge. That's the craving. You listen for 10 minutes. That's the response. You feel happy and motivated. That's the reward. Therefore, your brain registers that listening to English makes you feel good and proud of yourself. Soon, you'll engage in the habit automatically, without even giving it a second thought. James Clear asserts that to modify any habit, whether good or bad, you must comprehend this loop, this cycle. If you aim to establish a positive habit, you should ensure that the cue, the signal, is clear. You should amplify the craving. You should make the response easy. And you should ensure that the reward is satisfying. Conversely, if you desire to break a negative habit, you should do the opposite. Make the cue invisible. Make the craving weak. Make the response hard, and make the reward unsatisfying. This is the underlying science behind every habit you possess. Your brain learns through repetition and reward. The more frequently you repeat the cycle, the faster it becomes automatic. Over time, your body and mind simply engage in the behavior instinctively, like brushing your teeth, saying thank you, or checking your messages. That's why modifying habits requires time and conscious awareness. However, once you understand how the cycle operates, you have the power to cultivate any habit you desire. Chapter 4. The first law. Make it obvious. James Clear posits that the first principle for developing better habits is remarkably simple. Make it obvious. This means ensuring that your positive habits are clear and easily visible. Obvious. Our brains are inherently lazy. They prefer ease and convenience. If something is hidden, we tend to overlook it. If something is readily accessible, we're more likely to do it without thinking. Therefore, if you aspire to cultivate positive habits, don't conceal them. Make them easily accessible. The things that surround you transmit messages to your brain every day. You may not always consciously perceive them, but they influence your behavior. Affect means to change or influence something. For example, if you place a bowl of fruit on your table, you're more likely to consume more fruit. If you store it in the fridge, you might forget it's even there. If you position your running shoes near the door, you'll be reminded to go for a walk. If they're tucked away in a cupboard, you might opt to remain on the sofa. If you leave your English notebook open on your desk, you'll probably study. If you keep it tucked away in your bag, you might postpone it until tomorrow. Subtle changes in what you observe can significantly impact your actions. That's why James Clear asserts that environment is stronger than motivation. If you're aiming to transform your habits, start by modifying your surroundings. James Clear also introduces a concept called habit stacking. Stacking involves combining a new habit with an existing one. Your established habit serves as a cue, reminding you to initiate the new one. Here's the formula. After I do, I will do new habit. Here are a few examples. After I brush my teeth, I will floss. After I pour my morning coffee, I will read one page of a book. After I finish lunch, I will listen to a short English podcast. After I sit at my desk, I will write one English sentence. Your initial habit acts as a reminder to your brain to perform the subsequent one. It's like constructing a small bridge connecting two actions. Habit stacking works effectively because you already perform the first action every day. Brushing, eating, drinking, sitting. Therefore, it's easy to associate it with something new. When you link habits, when you connect your habits, your day feels more seamless. Another helpful strategy is to determine precisely when and where you will engage in your habits. Instead of saying, I will study later, specify, I will study English at 7 p.m. at my desk. Instead of saying, I'll exercise more, specify, I'll walk in the park at 6:30 every morning. When you establish a specific time and location, your brain knows what to expect. If your plan lacks clarity, you're likely to do nothing. If your plan is well-defined, you're more likely to act. One person states, I want to eat healthier, while another states, I'll make a salad for lunch at 12:30 every day. Who do you think is more likely to succeed? Undoubtedly, the second person, because their plan is simple and clear. He states, I'll make a salad for lunch at 12:30 every day. It's straightforward and easy to follow. The more specific your plan, the easier it becomes to adhere to it. Sometimes, we overlook new habits simply because we don't see them. James Clear advises, make visible reminders, things that help you remember. Visible means easy to see. If you aim to drink more water, keep a water bottle on your desk or in your bag. If you want to take vitamins every morning, place the bottle next to your toothbrush. If you want to call your parents every week, write it on your calendar or stick a note on your mirror. Reminders help your brain recall your plan. It's not about sheer willpower, it's about making things easy to see. James Clear observes that many people try too hard to use willpower. Willpower is the mental fortitude to stop or start something. However, he suggests, don't try to be stronger. Make your space help you. This concept is known as environment design, which involves modifying your surroundings to facilitate the natural occurrence of positive habits. Surroundings encompass everything that is around you. For instance, if you want to read more, keep books in every room. If you want to watch less television, unplug the television or hide the remote. If you want to reduce your phone usage, charge it in another room. If you want to eat less junk food, simply refrain from buying it. If you want to write more, keep a notebook near your bed. You don't have to battle negative habits. Simply make them more difficult to engage in, and make your positive habits easy to initiate. When your environment supports you, you don't need motivation. You'll simply do it. Now, James Clear also suggests that to facilitate positive habits, you should make negative ones difficult to see. If your phone is the first thing you see in the morning, you'll instinctively start scrolling. However, if you place it in another room, you'll break that habit more easily. If you see crisps on the table, you'll inevitably eat them. If you store them in a drawer, you won't. If YouTube or social media distract you while you work, log out or use an app blocker. When something is invisible, your brain forgets about it. Invisible means difficult or impossible to see. So, you don't need to overhaul everything in a single day. Start small, with one desk, one corner, one room. Dedicate a specific area of your space to your new habit. For example, designate a quiet desk for studying English, a small mat near your bed for morning stretches, or a fruit bowl on your kitchen counter. When your space supports your habit, it feels effortless and natural. That's the power of making it obvious. Easy to see. It's not about being strong. It's about effective design. Make your positive habits easy to see and conceal the negative ones. Your eyes guide your brain, and your brain guides your actions. And that's how the first law operates. Make it obvious. Chapter 5. The second law. Make it attractive. The second principle for cultivating better habits is to make it attractive. James Clear states that we tend to repeat actions we find enjoyable. If a habit feels rewarding, we'll be inclined to do it again. If it feels tedious or painful, we'll likely avoid it. Therefore, to cultivate a positive habit, we must make it enjoyable, pleasant, and interesting. That's what ensures that a habit sticks. Your brain invariably asks one question before engaging in any activity. Will this make me feel good? When the answer is affirmative, your brain becomes excited and releases a chemical called dopamine, the feel-good signal. That's why you derive pleasure from eating chocolate or watching your favorite television program. If you can associate that same feeling of enjoyment with your positive habits, they'll become easier to adopt. They'll transition from something you have to do to something you want to do. If you find learning English through your favorite films or songs enjoyable, you'll study more naturally. You won't tell yourself, "I must study." Instead, you'll exclaim, "I can't wait to learn today." That's what making habits attractive entails. Chapter 6. The third law. Make it easy. James Clear states that the third principle for developing positive habits is remarkably simple. Make it easy. When people postpone starting a habit, they often rationalize by saying, "I will start when I feel ready," or "I will begin when I have more time." However, motivation is fleeting. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll never begin. So, don't wait. Make your habit so easy that you can begin right now. You don't need to be perfect. You simply need to start. James Clear also suggests that the most effective way to initiate a new habit is to make it incredibly small. He refers to this concept as the 2-minute rule. This means that When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to complete. For example, if you want to read every night, read 1 page. If you want to exercise, put on your shoes and stretch for 2 minutes. If you want to meditate, sit down and take 1 deep breath. If you want to write, just write 1 sentence. Now, why does this work? This approach is effective because small actions feel effortless. Your brain registers, "This is simple. I can do it." Once you initiate the action, it becomes easier to continue. The most challenging aspect of any habit is the beginning. Once you start, your body and mind naturally continue. Many people often confuse motion with action. Motion encompasses planning, thinking, or preparing. Action entails actually doing. So, reading about exercise is motion. Doing 10 push-ups is action. Watching English videos is motion. Uttering 1 English sentence is action. Motion feels good because it resembles work, but genuine change only occurs through action. Therefore, don't wait for the perfect plan. Simply engage in a small version of your habit right now. Small actions create genuine progress and foster confidence. James Clear asserts that your daily routine is more important than striving for perfection. To cultivate a habit, repeat it frequently, even if it's small. Don't wait for the perfect time. Simply repeat it consistently. For example, if you study English for 5 minutes every day, you'll improve more than if you study for 2 hours once a week. Why? Because your brain learns most effectively from short, regular practice. Repetition reinforces memory. The more you repeat, the easier it becomes until it feels automatic, like brushing our teeth. When you want to cultivate a new habit, make the first step so small that you can't refuse. Want to write in a journal? Write 1 word. Want to exercise? Stretch for 1 minute. Want to tidy your room? Clean 1 small corner. Once you start, you'll usually continue naturally. This is referred to as a gateway habit, a small door that opens to larger actions. Chapter 7. The 4th Law. Make it satisfying. The 4th principle for developing positive habits is to make it satisfying. James Clear asserts that we repeat actions that elicit positive feelings. If a habit brings you pleasure or pride, your brain registers, "Let's do it again." If it feels tedious or painful, you'll stop. Therefore, to sustain a positive habit, you need to make it feel rewarding. When something feels satisfying, your brain flags it as a success. That subtle sense of success serves as a signal to continue next time. Our brains are wired to seek rewards. When you engage in a positive action and it feels good, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine, which makes you feel happy, proud, and excited. However, if the outcome of your habit is too far in the future, it's difficult for your brain to remain motivated. For instance, when you begin exercising, you don't see immediate results. When you start saving money, your account doesn't grow rapidly. When you begin learning English, you don't become fluent after a week. These results materialize later. That's why you must provide yourself with small rewards in the present to keep your brain happy and motivated. James Clear offers a clever rule for maintaining consistency. Never miss twice. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone. Missing a day happens. That's perfectly normal. But the real danger lies in when that one missed day turns into 2, then 3. So, the rule is straightforward. If you miss one day, don't beat yourself up about it. But make absolutely certain you get back on track the very next day. For instance, if you happen to forget to practice your English today, that's perfectly all right. But tomorrow, make sure you listen to your podcast again. Missed one workout session? Okay, just make sure you absolutely don't miss the next one. This rule is designed to help you stay on the right path. It serves as a reminder that a single mistake isn't the end of the world, as long as you're quick to recover. The author points out that our behavior is often more dependent on where we are than who we actually are. You can be incredibly focused and productive in the library, but easily distracted once you're back home. You might eat healthily in one particular city, but completely forget all about your diet when you're in another. Context plays a crucial role in shaping our actions. So, if you're finding it difficult to make changes in one specific place, try altering your location. Study in a cafe, take a stroll in a new park, or work in a different corner of your house. A new space has the power to create a new mindset, a fresh way of thinking. You don't need to own a massive house or have access to expensive tools to make a difference. Good environment design is all about clarity. Clear and organized spaces lead to clear and focused minds. A tidy desk is conducive to focus and concentration, whereas a messy one almost certainly invites distraction. A notebook left in plain sight will encourage you to write, while a closed drawer is likely to lead to forgetfulness. So, take the time to clean up your space. Organize it in a simple and effective way and let it be a reflection of your goals. Your environment is like a silent teacher, constantly reminding you every day of the person you aspire to be. When you design your environment in such a way that it supports good habits and actively conceals bad ones, you no longer need to constantly fight against yourself. Your surroundings, your environment, your context begin to work in your favor. They essentially become your invisible support team, guiding you, reminding you, and providing you with the support you need. Breaking bad habits takes time, just as building good ones does. You can't expect to erase years of established behavior in a single day. But every single time you resist a bad habit, every time you consciously choose not to indulge in it, you are teaching your brain something new and valuable. You are sending the message that you are stronger than your impulses. It might feel like progress is slow to begin with, but every small victory adds up. And each time you choose the better course of action, you gradually become a better version of yourself. That's the essence of how James Clear teaches us to break bad habits, make them invisible, difficult to see, unattractive, difficult to do, and ultimately unsatisfying. When you replace them with something better, you don't just change your behavior, you transform your entire life. Too many people tend to punish themselves when they experience setbacks or failures. They might say things like, "I'm just lazy," or "I can't seem to do anything right." But punishment simply doesn't work. In fact, it often has the opposite effect, causing you to stop trying altogether. James Clear suggests replacing punishment with constructive feedback. Feedback involves taking a calm and objective look at your mistake and asking yourself, what valuable lessons can I learn from this experience? For example, perhaps you missed your English practice session because you were feeling tired. Okay, perhaps you should try practicing in the morning instead, when you're more alert. You forgot to go for your daily walk. All right, maybe you should set a reminder on your phone or leave your walking shoes in a prominent place where you're sure to see them. Every mistake is a valuable message, not a definitive failure. When you actively learn from your mistakes, you effectively transform failure into fuel for future success. That feeling of making progress, even after experiencing setbacks, is incredibly satisfying. Okay, and that brings us to the end of today's in-depth exploration of Time's Atomic Habits, Times by James Clear. We've learned that real and lasting change doesn't happen overnight. It occurs gradually, through small, consistent, daily actions. Getting just 1% better every day accumulates to something truly amazing over the course of a year. That's the fundamental secret of atomic habits. Remember the 4 simple yet powerful laws. Make it obvious. Put good habits in places where you can't help but see them. Make it attractive. Make them enjoyable and pleasant. Make it easy. Start small, incredibly small, and make it satisfying. Reward yourself. And take pleasure in the feeling of accomplishment. If you consistently follow these 4 laws, you can change virtually anything in your life. You can learn English faster, live a healthier lifestyle, become more confident, and achieve any goal, one small step at a time. You don't need to strive for perfection. You don't need to accomplish everything all in one day. You simply need to make a start, even if it's just for 2 minutes. Because once you take that first step, your life will start to move forward. So, here's a small challenge for you. Choose one tiny habit today. It could be listening to this podcast every morning or writing down one new English word every night. Commit to doing it for 1 week and see how you feel. If it feels good and beneficial, keep going. You'll be pleasantly surprised at how quickly small things can grow into something significant. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Shawang English. I'm Alex, and I'm incredibly proud of you for your dedication to learning, for your personal growth, and for simply showing up today. Remember, significant change always starts with small steps. So, until next time, keep practicing your English, keep speaking, and keep believing in the power of small changes. Bye for now.